I'll tell you young guys, anonymity will get you into trouble. This is where young men who move to another city and no one knows them, they tend not to spend all their time reading the Bible and looking for more commandments to obey. Right? You're like, no one knows me. If you grew up in a small town, you're like, if I do something, that's my aunt, my uncle, my cousin, my parents, my siblings, my friend, my pastor. They're there. You go to a big city, new country, nobody knows you. You're totally anonymous. You could do whatever you want, and no one will even be aware. So he's facing massive temptation. He's also been a bit sheltered. So this would be like the homeschool kid, right, that didn't know there was electricity. And he gets dropped in Vegas during Mardi Gras. He's like, I don't know what's happening, but it seems like it could feel good. I mean, he's got himself in a real predicament. And so these are Joseph's tests. And I'm going to ask you about these tests for yourself. Are you passing your work test? Here's his work test. And for every man, your work is a test. Genesis 39, 1-6. Now, Joseph had been brought down to Egypt. Big country, demonic. And Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the captain of the guard, an Egyptian, had bought him from the Ishmaelites who had brought him down there. The Lord was with Joseph. That's a key phrase that gets stated over and over. And he became what kind of man? Successful man. So now he's in his 20s, and he's working his job, and he's good at his job. And he was in the house of his Egyptian master. His master saw that the Lord was with him and that the Lord caused all that he did to succeed in his hands. So Joseph found favor or grace in his sight and attended him, and he made him overseer of his house and put him in charge of all that he had. From the time that he made him overseer of his house and over all that he had, the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. Sometimes a good believer in a business receives God's blessing on the entire business. The blessing of the Lord was on all that he had in his house and field. So we left all that he had in Joseph's charge. And because of him, he had no concern about anything but the food that he ate. Okay? Your work is your test. Your work is your test. When you go to work, if you work hard, if you work with integrity, if you work with skill, and you work with fidelity, you're passing your test. How many of you right now, you've got a work test? You got a work test. Some of you, you're looking for a job. Some of you, you need to move up at the company and generate more revenue by taking on more responsibility. For some of you, your wife is pregnant and you're going to go down to one income. Or for some of you, you just got hit with a massive bill that you didn't anticipate coming. Whatever the case may be, the work test, true or false for a man, the work test is a constant test. Even if you have a good quarter, doesn't mean you're going to have a great quarter the next quarter. Right? And so what we see in Genesis is that it says that God made our first father Adam, put him in the garden to work, but then our first father Adam sinned against God, so now our work is cursed. And what this means is that everything is harder, and work is, for a man, a constant, overwhelming, difficult test. This is why lazy men and lesser men won't work. They won't even take the test. And there's two ways to fail. You fail the test, or you fail to take the test. And we see an entire generation of worthless men, the stay-at-home dads. Even worse than that are the stay-at-home husbands. At least the stay-at-home dads are watching kids. Stay-at-home dads are just watching porn. That's the problem in our world. We have young men who are aspiring to meet women who will pass the work test. Is she going to go to work and generate enough revenue to provide a home that I can sit in as a freeloader like a pet? Right? We have a whole generation of men that have left the workforce. Young men who are failing to launch into work. Joseph is a young man in his 20s. True or false? He's passing the work test. He's crushing. His career, he's doing great. He gets taken as a slave by a military general. This would be kind of like today, the Secretary of Defense purchases you at auction like cattle as his slave. You now have no rights whatsoever. But his employer, his master, to use the language of the scriptures, is very impressed with his work. Joseph is diligent, Joseph is trustworthy, Joseph is hardworking. How many of you guys are managers or leaders or owners of a company and you would like to find a guy like Joseph to hire? It's really difficult. I've got a buddy who runs a company. He's like, I just can't find anybody to pass the drug test. Like, wow, that's a low bar. Like, are you high? Dang it. Okay, well, you're bipedal upright and can fog a mirror, so we were close, but the drug test disqualified you. It's very hard to find good men who will succeed at work and continue to work with faithfulness and fidelity. You guys need to know this. Your work is part of your witness. And so, how is Joseph's witness at work? It's great. What does the Bible say? That the master and the others, they saw him crush it at work, succeed, produce results. He climbs the ladder. He's in charge of the entire household. The man doesn't worry about anything except for what he wants for dinner. How many of you would hire that guy? How many of you've got a company, if you can hire a right-hand guy, and he's like, I'll take care of everything. Every day, you just need to decide what you want for dinner. I'll handle the rest. Some of you guys are chuckling. Like, if you could find that guy, you would hire that guy, and then you would clone that guy. That's exactly what you would do. So he's crushing it at work. But his work is his witness. And what they say is that God blessed him and God blessed the business because of him. And it says that God was present with him. Some of you don't understand that when you go to work, your coworkers are watching. And if you say that you're a Christian, a follower of Jesus Christ, they're going to see if you abide by the same kinds of commandments that the Bible gives. Are they showing up early or late? Are they working hard or are they soft? Are they integrous? Are they stealing? Are they people who follow through with their commitments, or can we not depend on them? When they finish their work, do they ask for more work? Are they a burden giver to their coworkers or a burden lifter for their coworkers? And they're going to watch you. And so your work is part of your witness. Let me say this. Your performance at work is how you preach your sermon. See, I preach my sermon with words. You preach your sermon with works. And you can't say, and this would be the worst thing, guys, and there's going to be some exhortation here, but don't go to work and say you love Jesus and be a crappy employee. It's a terrible witness. Don't be a business that bills people for work you don't do. Don't be the contractor who takes the down payment and never shows up. If you're going to put a fish on your van, then live like a believer in Jesus Christ and don't be a bad advertisement for our King. Okay? And this is where sometimes, I'll rant a little bit in these, sometimes what happens is people will say that they're Christians to take advantage of other Christians in business. We don't need a contract, brother. We do. Joseph had brothers. He should have got a contract, right? They didn't go well. Well, hey, we're believers. You can trust me. Well, but do you have integrity and character? Thanks for joining me. My name is Pastor Mark. I've been teaching the Bible for more than 3 decades and had on constant collisions with woke culture. And I would love to get you more Bible teaching. 2 things you can do. Go ahead and watch the sermon in total and also subscribe to the channel. And I'll just keep sending you Bible teaching and we'll have a lot more fun together.